So now we're getting into the part of the day where we've done enough talking and we want to hear how did we all do. Rob is going to throw up a QR code and a link on the screen. If that's not your favorite way of doing business, we'll email out the same link at some point. I'm not promising when, probably before Bob's book. But we'll get that sent out so you can do it on a computer somewhere else. But if you would like to fill out the survey for the course, or if you're joining us from online and can conveniently do that, that's where we really want the nitty-gritty of what you liked, what you didn't like, those details of your complaints, compliments, all of that. If you want to talk about specific presentations, we can share those with the presenters. But that's really the forum for that. Here today, we do want to kind of pose a bigger, broader question, and I have to get my computer back logged in. And that more is what you guys as participants and you guys as people coming up in the search world really want to see of the Syrotuck Symposium. So we, as a steering committee and certainly from the roots of it, want to stick with the original mission statement. And as a reminder, the symposium began in 1996 to foster intellectual and scientific development of SAR methods and techniques, to promote new ideas, and to encourage development of new techniques and practical uses of technology. We want to stick with that mission, but we're really asking how and what does it look like? So it's kind of roughly or loosely for the last almost 30 years been on a biannual-ish schedule. It's moved around the world. It's been attached to conferences. Does that format work? Do we feel like there's a different format that could be seen? Is the virtual format helpful? Really, we're looking for kind of what the next steps are for Syrotuck. And right now, this one was driven from certainly an interest in continuing the Syrotuck Symposium, but I think it was Chris Long's memorial that we had a group of people together in the room and finally put together a steering committee. And so it's really been sort of a loose thing without a whole lot of structure. And is that how we want it to continue? I guess what we're looking for is like, what's kind of the basic parameters of a Syrotuck and who can hold one? How can they hold it? If you guys have any ideas of what the future might be of the symposium? You're right. We did fail you as a steering committee in that. Only the co-chairs got it right of the uniform of the day and our Hawaiian shirts. We'll be sure to advertise next year or next symposium that is the unofficial uniform of the Syrotuck Symposium. No one did. Sorry, that was my bad. Any other thoughts, feelings, steering committee members? We've discussed this at length.
Very important feedback in terms of attire. I do want to point out that just having a shirt with flamingos on it does not necessarily qualify as a Hawaiian shirt. So this is the last time that Amy will give me the microphone.
See that maybe we've lost you guys to the promise of ice cream. Well, okay.
So how are we going to follow up on the presentations that we got here from Cal Poly, from Guy, et cetera, and hear more from them as they're doing it? I don't want to wait 2 years to the next Syrotuck to hear about what Cal Poly's doing. Is there a way that we can provide an ongoing forum for that information? Yeah, Jamie's nodding yes, so we should do it.
Couple comments. First of all, I think the newsletter are essential. You know, you reach out to globally, I believe. That might be a good communication plan for the projects we heard today. And on the continuation of this symposium, I think it's very important that we continue to move the bar forward, and we have that visionary thought-provoking meetings where we talk amongst people with similar passions and are subject matter experts in their field. And this symposium will have great effect on the world of search and rescue. And I think we need to carry that on, because the work that they started decades ago is still impacting what we do today. And you can't underestimate the value of thoughts and creativity like what we've seen here in the room today. So my suggestion is keep it going. And attach it to other learning events like conferences and things like that, so we can capitalize on being in similar learning venues.
Just a couple of quick questions. This is a kind of a straw poll. How many people are going to the conference there over the next 3 days? Okay, a good portion of you. Okay, so as a forum as a predecessor to a conference that's designed specifically for missing and unidentified persons, an international conference that brings in people from, local up to federal government to international government, coroners, all that kind of stuff. I started going to this conference, both conferences, several years ago, and I can't wait to go do them every year because I always come back learning something more from that. So this is a predecessor to that. I think worked out really, really well. The fact that Chris and I are on the planning committee for that other conference, we just said, we'd like to do this before it. And they said, go for it. They're not going to, other than it's just happens to coincide. I will say from my own personal experiences is that if it hadn't been for the Syrotuck Symposiums, and I remember going to that one back in 1996, I think it was, that inspired me to continue to start writing and be looking for things where can we improve stuff. And that produced produced 2 books, papers, and it was just the inspirations that came out of, I got an idea, let's talk about it. And I remember Skip Stoffel, when I started talking about urban search management, and back then we had these little, overhead projector slides. Remember those? You have to flip them on the page. And I remember Skip just jumping up and said, "This is great stuff. Let's do more." And I go like, that led to one thing after another. And I'm hoping that both the people listening in here in the room and those that are still online will be inspired to go out and say, well, how can we make things better? A little more efficient, a little more effective. Because there's always a way, you find a hole and fill it is kind of the way I've always been my philosophy. And just more of a pep talk. I hope you guys enjoyed this and learned something from it. I wish I had seen the ones this morning, but they're recorded. I hope to get to see those. So, and it looks like Dr. Kester has something to say as well.
Okay. Just a quick thing or announcement directed more at the presenters. Just a reminder that the Journal of Search and Rescue, which is online, free, no paywall, has always put out a Syrotuck Symposium issue, or we blend it into one of our other issues. So your paper has been accepted. That part is done. Now you just have to write it. Note to Bob, write another paper, which will just delay the book that much more. Just another quick thing is I've actually enjoyed over the fact how this Syrotuck Symposium has moved from conference to conference to conference, because it has allowed me to experience a variety of different conferences, different countries, just expanding that network. So that's my 2 thoughts on that.
We've had an opportunity over the last few years, probably looking at, for myself, a couple of decades, of actually witnessing the real positive part of seeing both the people at the management and planning area singing off the same sheet of music that the people that are going to the field are doing. And our experience is that when we go into a lot of the local jurisdictions, we occasionally have repeat people who have to come back and revisit some of the basic theory processes and that kind of thing. But what happens to the people in the field? The experience that we've had is, if you make it a point to teach the basic principles of theory and what the field people need to understand and know, now you've got 2 factions that are working together and singing off the same sheet of music. And now we've seen the production go way up. And I would like to at least advocate very strongly that we look at future Syrotuck symposiums like this, that we talk about what it is it specifically that we need to impart to the ground people who are going out and searching. If they don't know about the RD process and what the simple process of an effective sweep width is, you got some problems. And again, effective methodology for actually doing the searching. A lot of that stuff, I mean, I could go on forever, but we need to talk to both the people that are, in a practical sense, working in the field, as well as those that are managing and doing the planning.
I don't have anything to say. I just grab the microphone.
No specific questions online, but we have had quite a few people that are thanking all of us for making these presentations available so they can watch them from the comfort of their home in their pajamas or whatever else. So I'm glad we had some good attendance. I know we approached 100 attendees at one point earlier today. I wasn't watching that closely, so we may have well exceeded 100 at least for a short while. But we've had in excess of 45 or 50 the entire time. So I'm really excited about that. The question did come up about when will the recordings be available, and I'm engaged at another conference in a couple of weeks. I'm also in a master's program that just got really demanding. And so I would guess probably more than a month before I can get all of the post-processing done. I want to break the single recording that I've done down into smaller digestible chunks. I want to go ahead and get some closed captioning going so we can accommodate people that need that and that sort of thing. So all of those things take time, and we haven't really created a Syrotuck channel for YouTube. I suspect we'll do that, and we'll find a way to make the at least PDF copies of your presentations for the presenters available. So we had a number of comments earlier today about how some of them were hard to read in the Zoom format and that sort of thing. So we want to make sure that everything's available and accessible so people can get to it.
Perfect. Thank you. And I'll take this as a moment to say thank you to Rob for all he's done on the virtual component of things. That was a massive lift. He's been busier than I have today, and I certainly don't know how to do any of that. So thank you, Rob. You were the reason that was possible. And I'll just roll into a couple of other thank yous to, again, all our presenters and our panelists. We can applaud all of those again. I thought that was all like really excellent research and really good stuff to bring back home to teams. And I'm certainly glad that they're recorded to rewatch some of them. Thank you again to Red Rock SAR for hosting us here and putting in a ton of work. Specifically, thank you to Barrett for what he's done of helping us manage the facility and taking out the trash and just going above and beyond to help us have this here. Thank you again to NASAR and ERI for feeding us. And then thank you to the Missing and Unidentified Persons Conference. They really helped us with advertising this out to their attendees, letting us co-locate and have this there with their conference. And just a pitch, I know this year their registration is all full, so you can't sneak over there if you hadn't already registered, but that's a great conference for kind of things that, while it might not all be backcountry or this non-urban search type thing and specific to search and rescue conference, it's something that's really applicable to what we're doing, and I think maybe flies off the radar of what we're aware of typical SAR conferences. So put that one on your calendars, or at least on your radar for future years, and we're really excited to be here with them in Vegas this year. Yes, and to reiterate for online, thank you to them for extending the hotel block to make this more affordable for our attendees. So with that, yeah, thank you guys for your feedback. We'll definitely chew on that. And if you continue to have thoughts of what you'd like this to look like in the future, feel free to also use that survey that we'll send out to provide us any of that information. And we will get through them and read them at some point, but we'll also be here for a conference this week. So yeah. It was noted to me to maybe mention, if you have a car or you need a car, maybe team up on that to get back to Vegas if you need rides. So it's not all individual taxis, but I'm not going to coordinate that, sorry. And I think that's all I have. Are we ready for ice cream? Oh.